They've gone to war, traveled to space, and even starred in Hollywood blockbusters. But did you know M&Ms were originally made just for soldiers? This is the crazy history of one of the world's most iconic candies, M&Ms. The roots of M&Ms begin in the 1930s, when Forrest Mars Sr., son of Mars Company founder Frank Mars, traveled to Europe. While observing the Spanish Civil War, Forrest noticed soldiers eating small chocolate pellets with a hard sugar shell. These were British-made Smarties, and the shell prevented the chocolate from melting in warm climates. Forrest immediately recognized the potential for something similar back home. Back in the United States, Forrest Mars patented his own process on March 3, 1941. He then partnered with Bruce Murray, son of Hershey President William Murray. Together, they formed M&M Limited. The name reflected their partnership, M for Mars and M for Murray. This was strategic, as Hershey controlled the nation's chocolate supply due to wartime rationing, and Murray ensured access. Production began in Newark, New Jersey, and their first big customer was none other than the U.S. Army. Soldiers needed chocolate that wouldn't melt in tropical conditions, and M&Ms fit perfectly. In fact, throughout World War II, M&Ms were sold exclusively to the military. Only after the war in 1945 did they become available to the public. As the candy entered the civilian market, M&Ms quickly became a household favorite. And in 1949, they introduced the slogan still remembered today: "The milk chocolate that melts in your mouth, not in your hand." In 1950, M&Ms gained their now signature M stamped on the candy, at first in black, before switching to white in 1954. In 1954, Mars launched peanut M&Ms, whole peanuts coated in milk chocolate and covered in a candy shell. At first, they only came in tan, but by 1960, yellow, red, and green were added to the mix. And despite popular myths, each color tasted exactly the same. Early black and white ads for M&Ms featured two talking M&M characters, one plain and one peanut, diving into a swimming pool full of chocolate. With demand skyrocketing, Mars moved operations in 1958 to a bigger factory in Hackettstown, New Jersey, where M&Ms are still made today. In 1976, red M&Ms were temporarily discontinued due to public fears about red dye number 2, and replaced with the color orange, until 1987, when red returned to the lineup alongside orange. In 1978, Mars opened a second U.S. factory in Cleveland, Tennessee, further boosting production. Around this time, M&Ms expanded internationally, reaching Europe, Canada, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, and the UK. In the early 1980s, Mars experimented with M&M's Royals, pale green and brown candies filled with mint chocolate, and showed a crown rather than the signature M, promoted with the slogan, "Now chocolate's got a whisper of mint," though it was short-lived. And in 1981, M&Ms made history again. Thanks to their durability, they became the first candy to travel into space, joining the crew aboard NASA's Space Shuttle Columbia. In 1986, Holiday's M&Ms for Easter and Christmas were launched. Instead of the signature M stamped on the candy, the Easter variety had a bunny, chick, and egg symbols on the shells. And the Christmas variety had a pine tree, bell, and candle symbols on the red and green shells. But in 1993, the holiday symbols would be replaced with the standard trademark M. In 1990, Mars went big at the Erie County Fair in New York. They displayed a life-size fiberglass cow covered in 66,000 real M&Ms, each logo carefully facing outward. That same year, Mars signed up to be a sponsor for NASCAR in the NASCAR Cup Series, with most recently sponsoring Kyle Busch from 2008 to 2022. who won the 2015 Sprint Cup Series Championship and the 2019 Monster Energy Cup Series. But in 2022, Mars announced they were pulling their sponsorship from NASCAR entirely. In 1991, the peanut butter variety was released. These M&Ms have peanut butter inside the chocolate shell, and the same color scheme as the other varieties. In 1995, the famous color campaign, which asked fans to vote for a new candy color, purple, pink, or blue. The color tan would be discontinued and replaced by the winner. Well, blue won, and to celebrate, the company had the Empire State Building lit up in blue. In 1996, M&M's Minis hit stores, in colorful plastic tubes instead of the bag. And that same year, the company produced its now classic Christmas commercial where red and yellow M&Ms meet Santa Claus. Still re-aired every holiday season to this day. In 1999, Crispy M&Ms was released. They were slightly larger than the milk chocolate variety and featured a crispy wafer center. Though the crispy variety was discontinued in the US in 2005. And as the year 2000 approached, M&M's cleverly branded themselves as the official candy of the new millennium, since MM equals 2000 in Roman numerals. Throughout the early 2000s, M&M's dipped their feet in the video game scene with M&M-themed games like The Lost Formulas, Minnie's Madness, Shell Shocked, M&M's Blast, Break'em, Adventure, and M&M's Beach Party. In May 2004, the Mars Company ran a Shrek 2 promotion for the release of the film. M&Ms were offered as ogre-sized, which were 65% larger than the original, and in swamp ogre colors. In the summer of 2005, Mars added Mega to the product lineup. They were 55% larger than the traditional size, but slightly smaller than the ogre-size version. They were later introduced as a standalone product in 2014. In April 2005, the company ran the Empire promotion to tie in with the film release of Star Wars Episode III: Revenge of the Sith. In 2006, the company piloted a white chocolate variety as a tie-in with their Pirates of the Caribbean promotion. The company also offered new flavors of M&Ms online, called All That Raz, Eat Drink and Be Cherry, Mint Condition, Almond Delicious, and Nut What You Think. In 2008, two limited edition varieties were introduced, Wildly Cherry, and as a marketing tie-in with the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there was Mint Crisp. In summer 2009, they launched a limited edition strawberry peanut butter variety to tie in with the film release of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. From 2010 to 2019, Mars launched many more varieties like coconut, pretzel, cinnamon, coffee nut, caramel, English toffee, and limited edition hazelnut spread. They even jumped over to the bacon aisle in 2016 with M&M's cookies. In 2020, fudge brownie M&Ms were released, though they were discontinued just 4 years later in 2024. Then, in September 2022, Mars introduced both a new purple-colored M&M candy and a new purple spokes candy character. From a battlefield invention to an international symbol, M&Ms have spent more than 80 years evolving. They've been at the front lines of war, in the vacuum of space, on NASCAR tracks, in blockbuster films, and on grocery shelves around the globe. What started in 1941 as a way to feed soldiers has become one of the most recognizable candies in history. And no matter the color, flavor, or size, one thing has never changed. They still melt in your mouth, not in your hand. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, check out this one or this one. And as always, subscribe right here for more sweet stories just like this one.